Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sport, and in this video we're going to talk about the French Open. We're going to react to the results, and we're going to start off with, well, I could say this is news, but it really isn't. It's a news story we hear every year, and that is Rafael Nadal winning another French Open. And you've probably asked me, is this the 20th time, 100th time? No, 13th time, which is normally an unlucky number, but for Rafael Nadal, it seems to do him wonders on clay court. He absolutely thrashed Novak Djokovic in straight sets. I mean, Novak Djokovic was probably always going to be his biggest challenger, but no, not this year. Despite it being in the cold, in the French autumn, it didn't matter to Nadal. He was just an absolute natural talent in Paris. And I'm joined by Kara, who actually has the same coloured hair as the clay court. Sorry about that, Kara. But Kara, I've only gone and ruined it now, haven't I?
I've never been called that before. Out of all the things that everyone says about my hair, clay coloured, I've never had before.
It had to be done. It just came out. But I mean, Kara, Nadal, were you surprised? Because okay, the tournament was going to be on at a different time of the year. Djokovic was on form throughout this year. Did it really surprise you?
Well, before the tournament even started, Nadal was complaining about the weather, saying it was cold, the conditions weren't very good for a French Open. So I thought that might have held him back a little bit. But, he didn't drop a set the whole tournament. He looked as good playing in the autumn as he did during May when this tournament would have been staged.
It's absolutely incredible. Let's start off with Djokovic. I feel like, in a weird way, if you look at his year, don't get me wrong, regardless, it's been good. I think he's only actually had one or two defeats this year. And okay, we've had a lot of months of no tennis, but whenever he's been at a Grand Slam, the Aussie Open, he made the final. The US Open, let's be honest, I don't know about you, but I thought he would have won the US Open if it wasn't for what happened with the line judge. But he's missed out. It could have been two more Grand Slams. He could have been on 19, one behind Federer. Instead, he now finds himself 3 behind.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating couple of months for Djokovic, hasn't it? You would have thought this would have been the time for him to maybe push Nadal in the final of the French Open, given the weather that Nadal's complained about from the start. But after that first set, being bageled in the first set and final, the final of the French Open, I think, it's pretty... I'd be frustrated if I was Novak Djokovic right now, but that's possibly got to be one of his worst defeats in a Grand Slam final in recent years.
I think as well for Nadal, that kind of performance as well. It doesn't matter what court it is, to do that against Djokovic. Yeah, as you say, I don't think we've seen that in a long time.
No. Nadal's just looked amazing all tournament, and Djokovic, he's dropped a couple of sets here and there, and I was kind of gutted. He played Tsitsipas in the semi-finals. I was so gutted that Tsitsipas didn't win that one, and I think seeing him in the final against Nadal, that would have been amazing, but it wasn't meant to be this year.
No, not meant to be. So Nadal, he's on 20 now, 20 in 2020, as some are saying. Ha ha ha! Very good. He's on level with Federer. Of course, Federer put out an Instagram post to say welcome to the 20 club, and couldn't have happened to a better friend. Where does this leave him now? Because in my eyes, Kari, when you look at especially this year, he's been the most active between the two. So surely he's probably the favourite to actually overcome Federer's tally now and be the first to reach 21.
Yeah, out of the both of them, Federer's the best on grass, Nadal's the best on clay. The French Open comes before Wimbledon, so I'm gonna say Rafa's gonna do it. I think he's gonna come to 21 before Federer, but who knows what's gonna happen between now and next year, next Grand Slams. Anything could happen. If it's anything as unpredictable as this year, then we're in for a shock.
I think as well, when you look at Nadal anyway, he's actually the only player to win in every tournament at least twice out of the 4 majors. I think it was something like that. So that alone, I think some people kind of forget that it's not just the French Open with Nadal. It's actually the fact that he's done it at least twice. Wimbledon, as you just said, He hasn't won Wimbledon since 2010, I think it was, which is 10 years ago. I might be wrong, but from the top of my head, it just shows that he's always been up there no matter what. And even with his injuries, regardless, he's had a lot more problems than Federer has. Federer had a 5-year gap where he didn't win any Grand Slams. I mean, maybe the kids is an excuse, but he still went on and did the tour.
Yeah, I think the first thing you think of when you think of Nadal is the French Open. I think he's not given enough credit for the other Grand Slams he's performed great at, because on paper, Wimbledon, he should never have won Wimbledon. He did. The US Open, the Australian Open on hard courts, especially the last couple of years with his knees, he's won them as well. There's nothing he hasn't won. So he is the most in-form player. I know we've not seen too much tennis this year, as you said earlier, but he is going to be a threat going into, well, for the rest of this season and going into next year for the Australian Open.
Well, I mean, a lot of people always say you've got to have the most Grand Slams to be the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Do you think Nadal already is?
Oh, I mean, Nadal, he's been around for so many years, and his history, his records, like French Open, he's won 100 matches at the French Open, lost 2. That's like a, 98% win streak.
That's crazy.
At the French Open. I mean, you know, with those kind of numbers, and only becoming the 4th person in the Open era to have won 20 Grand Slams or more, alongside Federer, Steffi Graf, and Serena. Nobody else has done it but those 4. So while he's looking like that, I'd love to be Nadal right now.
Statistics is incredibly scary when you look at Nadal, or even any of the 3. Actually, before we move on, Djokovic, though, we said this, didn't we, once on one of our videos on YouTube? It's actually our most viewed video when we talked about if Djokovic will beat Federer's record, and now it's going to have to be Nadal he has to beat as well. But surely this isn't, I mean, Djokovic, he's going to come back next year, surely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he won all 4 majors.
Oh, it's gonna happen at some point, isn't it? I mean, this year, considering we've had a global pandemic on our hands,
yeah,
and Wimbledon was cancelled, so nobody was playing there this year, and there's only been 3 Grand Slams. I think next year could be the year that we see a remodel Djokovic. We're going to see a Djokovic that's more calm, doesn't lose his cool on court too much, as we've seen with that. We've seen him got defaulted in that match at the US Open, which if he hadn't have been defaulted, he was winning that tournament.
Yeah.
I
agree.
If I was putting money on it, he would have won that tournament hands down.
Yeah, and of course,
going into that. And
there was no Nadal. There was Team was there. Team has shown that he can be up there and be a major winner, and he did it. But yeah, I agree. I mean, for him, it just cemented his year. It was good and bad, really. The whole thing with the tour that he had, his own tour, and then obviously the player association that he's now involved with. It's, definitely a mixed
controversy from Djokovic this year.
We love him though, don't we? Well, I think we do anyway. Anyway, let's move on to what happened on Saturday. Now, I can't get over this because women's tennis is unpredictable, right? But this was more than a Hollywood script, because no one would have thought this. This is a woman player, a female player that actually was thinking about dropping tennis to study. Well, she's looked at her bank balance after that and thinks, you know what? I might just stick to tennis, because she won the French Open, and that is the name of Aga Świątek, who is from Poland. I must admit, I've never heard of her until she won the French Open. I heard about her in the semis and all that, and the script looked like it was there for her to do it, and everyone, the newspaper writers, were looking forward to put on the headline out of something, nothing to everything for this girl. But Kara, I mean, I don't know if you watched it, but the fact that she just won it like that in straight sets as well. I mean, no one would have. I'd love to know what the odds were like at the start of the tournament.
Yeah, it was so unpredictable, wasn't it? I think everyone had their money on Simona Halep retaining her French Open title, but she got knocked out by the eventual champion. So I've seen her play when I was traveling a bit last year doing the grass court tournaments. I've seen her play last year. Was a fan of her kind of style because she's clever. She knows how to move around. She can place the ball in awkward spots, and she played a really good final against the reigning Australian Open champion Kenin, who 2 weeks prior to the final had lost in the second round of Rome to Victoria Azarenka 6-love, 6-love. So it's been it's been a very strange French Open. I don't think anybody could have predicted either finalist making that final. But yeah, it's just a shame that it was over in straight sets.
I mean, the fact that she's never even won a WTA tour as well. She's never, she's not won anything before, but she wins the French. I mean, she goes on about her studies. Do you think she should just cancel that now?
Oh yeah, I'd be ruling that out completely now. You're a Grand Slam champion at 19 years old. So, one of the youngest in, how many years? So I'd be putting the studies on hold for now, focusing on the tennis, because this is an amazing, prospect now for tennis. This is the future of tennis. I know we say it every time somebody young wins a Grand Slam on the women's tour.
Yeah.
But, she's a really clever player.
I guess the real challenge now is to continue this, because, Maria Sharapova did it at Wimbledon when she was 17. Literally someone out of nowhere just winning Wimbledon, and it was like, oh, hello, Maria Sharapova, welcome to the world of tennis. And she, in all fairness to Maria Sharapova, she won 4 or 5 majors, so in my eyes that was a success. So really for her, it's just to win one more major at least, isn't it? Or at least win a WTA, to just remind people that this isn't a fluke. This is happening. Like I belong in tennis.
Yeah, well, the only thing that Świątek's got on her CV is the Junior Wimbledon trophy. She won Junior Wimbledon in 2018, and I think that was when people were starting to think, oh wow, this is the future right now. And you think, especially with stories like Coco Gauff having that incredible run at Wimbledon last year and continuing her form well into this year, I think people kind of expected that Świątek would have kind of been turned into this ready-made, tennis player who'd contend for these titles and Grand Slams, but it's not been the case. It's taken a while longer than I think what everyone predicted. So I think nobody had her down as the winner of the French Open.
No, absolutely not.
I think it worked to her advantage though, because she could just glide into the radar. She was definitely not, picked to win that match against Simona Halep.
No.
And I think that's what suited her this tournament. She has not been the favourite to win any of her matches. And then she comes up into the final against a Grand Slam champion, a recent Grand Slam champion, and she just completely dispatches her in straight sets.
Absolutely incredible. Well, I mean, we could talk about tennis forever, Kara, of course. Let us know at home what you think, folks. Can these people, can Świątek go on and win more majors? We'd love to know what your thoughts are below. And can Nadal beat the 20 Grand Slam total? Because it's there, he's done it, but can he get 21 in 2021? Oh, I'm happy I said that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, applause for me. Well, anyway, my thanks to Kara for joining me on Let's Talk Sport. Remember to subscribe, and of course, do like this video. We'll see you in the next video.